Welcome back to News Nation. We have a special report tonight on violence in America.
Philadelphia, for example, having its deadliest year since '07. Shootings there are up 57% over last year. And in New York City, the number of shooting victims is up almost 100% to date over last year. According to the Chicago Sun-Times newspaper, there have been 624 homicides in Chicago so far this year, up from 510 in 2019.
So why are certain neighborhoods more violent than others? What's behind the violence in areas like Inglewood on Chicago's South Side? Dexter Voisin has a lot of thoughts on that. He's a professor at the University of Toronto, but also spent 20 years at the University of Chicago. He explores the reasons and some solutions in his latest book, America the Beautiful and Violent.
The abhorrent has become the norm. The abhorrent around violence in Chicago, and in fact, violence across all America has become the norm. In Chicago, 50 individuals can get shot in a weekend and will barely make the evening news. We become desensitized, and I think that desensitization is a manifestation of our collective trauma.
So there are two main questions here. Why does it happen, and how do we solve it? You talk at length in your book about the whys, and it's complicated.
So if you have kids growing up in communities of deep need, where there are no jobs, where they don't see positive images of themselves, where the middle class has been stripped, where fathers, sons, and brothers are incarcerated at disproportionate levels, not because of criminality, but purely a function of the zip codes that they're growing up in, then you would find a manifestation of these forms of interpersonal violence. When young people do not see positive images, they don't know what they can become.
What would someone coming from a resourced neighborhood think after spending 3 months in Inglewood?
I think they would be shocked and they would be appalled. I think there are a lot of folks who are living in privileged spaces who don't understand that individuals are living in an alternate reality in these United States of America.
Where does this break down, the lack of humanity?
If many of these issues were happening in well-resourced communities, resources would have been put to stomp the problem. Violence in poor, under-resourced communities is a man-made problem, and it takes man-made actions in order to solve them. If you teach someone to not see their lives as valuable, they're not going to have respect for their lives and for the lives of other people that look like them. If someone is being told from the time they're born, through media, through living in a circumstance, substandard housing, in schools that very often resemble prisons because of metal detectors, they're told that your life is less meaningful. That person is not going to invest in their future.
Some people will say, and you write about this in the book, about personal responsibility, making a choice other than crime, other than drugs, other than picking up a gun and shooting someone.
What I've heard from these young people, my dream was to become a policeman, a fireman, a teacher, and some other type of gainful employment. But along the lines, they've realized that the path to that has not been extended to them. So that goes back to the old adage of pull yourself up by your bootstraps, when in fact some folks have no boots or no straps. But the reality is that mass shootings account for less than 3% of all fatalities in the United States. The majority of fatalities happen in poor, low-resource communities where similar resources are not put into place. And these kids are not dealing with an event of trauma, they're living in a state of trauma.
You say the criminal justice system is not the fix here.
You cannot arrest poverty away. And again, poverty is a catalyst for all these different types of violence, right? Poverty, you cannot arrest poverty away. You have to invest in eradicating poverty.
You say in the book that CPD reports 80% of all shootings and murders in the city are gang-related. How do we change that?
If kids do not have positive opportunities for social development, then they would move to alternative networks. All kids need a sense of belonging. All kids need a sense of social recreation. If we don't have those viable resources like we have in well-resourced communities, kids would get into alternative networks. So we need to make sure that all the building blocks for positive youth development are also in these communities.
You have a lot of time invested here. When does this get better in Chicago, and what is it going to take?
This is a long-term investment. It's not something that can be just tackled with 2 or 3 years. The issue of the dismantling of these communities has happened over the course of decades, and it's going to take a long-term commitment to reinvest in these communities. Until we stop demonizing these communities and realizing that this is a human problem, this is a universal problem that directly or indirectly impacts all Americans, we will not be able to move the dial on this.
Wasson says much of this comes down to the lack of resources. He says we're living in 2 Americas, and we all have to pay attention because we all pay the cost, even the privileged. So we thank the doctor for his time and his insight on a serious issue that the pandemic has really laid bare in many, many ways.
Anything that he said to you that kind of struck that you remember most or changed the way you see Chicago?
Yeah, the big thing to me was that when you talk about well-resourced neighborhoods, if you were to put someone from a well-resourced North Side neighborhood in Chicago, or pick the city, and put them in some of these poorly resourced neighborhoods, it would take about 2 or 3 days for them to say, what in the world is going on here?
Right.
And there would be changes more than likely. So this is something that, again, he says all of us need to pay attention to and look beyond just the what's happening there and look for the reasons and the whys, and then try to address the solutions. It's not an easy solution, and it's going to take a long time.
Yeah, and I was really saddened, having moved here to Chicago in May after living in Indianapolis and Seattle for the last 8 years, and the amount of violence here and the amount of kids who are being killed in the city of Chicago. It shocked me, it saddened me, and I'm glad you did this story tonight and talked to him.
Again, the book is called America, the Beautiful and Violent, and our thanks to Dexter Wasson.